Have you ever just stopped and wondered who really runs our schools? From the rules in the classroom all the way up to the district budget, it can feel like this giant, confusing maze of committees and departments. Well, today, we're going to dive right into that. Let's unravel exactly how our schools are managed and funded.
The source material we're looking at today just puts it perfectly. School governance, it is complicated and layered. That says it all, right? But hey, don't worry, our whole goal here is to peel back those layers one by one so the whole system starts to make a lot more sense.
So, let's kick things off with the most obvious layer, the one we all see and interact with, the different kinds of schools that are actually out there in our communities. And wow, the educational landscape is seriously diverse. In a state like California, you've got everything from your traditional public and private schools to charter schools and homeschooling, and then you throw in hybrid models, online schools, alternative schools, and you can see right away how this variety is the first clue that this system is pretty complex.
Now, the really big difference between these comes down to two things: money and mission. Public schools are funded by the state, and they have to be open to absolutely every student. Private schools, on the other hand, they're funded independently. Think tuition and donations. This gives them the freedom to build their curriculum around a specific philosophy, whether that's religious-based or an educational theory like Montessori.
Okay, so where did charter schools fit in all this? This is a huge point of confusion for a lot of people, but the source material is really clear. Charter schools are public schools. They get public money, but they're given a lot more freedom in how they operate compared to traditional district schools. It's kind of like a hybrid model living inside the public system.
And that independence? Well, it definitely sparks a lot of debate. The source material points out this pretty big tension inside the education world. A lot of folks working in traditional public schools see the rise of charter schools, and also the idea of voucher systems, which could shift public money to private schools as a real threat to the funding and stability of the public school system as we know it.
All right, so we've got a handle on the different school types. Now let's peel back that next layer and ask, who's actually in charge? Who gets to make the big policy decisions that affect every single kid in a district?
Time for a quick pop quiz, and this is straight from our source material. So which of these groups is the one that officially adopts the policy language for a district? Is it the local school site council, the governing board, the county office, or the district cabinet? What do you think?
If you guessed B, the governing board, you are absolutely right. Now, while all these other groups have a part to play, it's the elected governing board, what most of us call the school board, that has the final authority to set and adopt official policy for the whole district. That's where the ultimate power really is at the local level.
But of course, policies are just words on a page if you don't have the money to make them happen. And that brings us to our next crucial layer, funding. If you really want to understand how schools work, you gotta follow the money.
So here's another question to get us thinking. Take a look at these common school expenses. Which one of these is most likely paid for using general, unrestricted funds? The flexible money a district can use for pretty much whatever it needs. Is it special ed, English learner support, site supervision, or the school lunch program?
And that question just illustrates the two main types of school funding perfectly. See, most of those options, special ed, English learner support, nutrition programs, they're all paid for with restricted funds. That's money from the state or federal government that comes with strings attached. It can only be used for that one specific thing. But site supervision, that's a general cost of running the school, and it's usually paid for with unrestricted funds, which gives the district a lot more flexibility.
Okay, so we've covered the what, the who, and the how. Now let's get practical and turn all this information into a toolkit that you can use to figure out what's really going on in your own community.
The source material has this great activity that we've basically turned into 3 simple steps for you. First, just head to the California Department of Education website, the CD, to find your specific school district. Second, get to know the Ed Code, which is basically the rule book of laws for all California schools. And third, to stay in the loop, follow an independent news source like EdSource.
And here are the exact links to get you going. You can find your district at the CDE, search all the education laws on the legislature's website, get your daily news from EdSource, and see what school boards are talking about at the CSBA site. This is your launchpad for becoming a truly informed citizen.
So, there you have it. We started with the different kinds of schools, we peeled back the layer of governance and found the school board, and then we followed the money to see how it all works. You now have the basic map to navigate what can feel like a really complicated system.
And really, the final takeaway is this. Yeah, the system is complex, it's layered, but it's not impossible to understand. And once you have the map, once you know who decides what and with which pot of money, the most important question becomes the one right here on your screen. Where does your voice fit in?